Lately, we've seen a rise in alternative theories regarding human history. The champions of this great wave, who are usually covered in an aura of spiritual awakening, have shed light in the shadow of mainstream skepticism, and in doing so, inspired millions to question the mainstream telling of our story. Join me as we explore some of the reasons why you should too dare to question the established history. The beginning of civilization. Although it's a debated topic, even among mainstream historians and archaeologists, it is also commonly agreed upon that human civilization officially started around 4000 BC, 6000 years ago, in southern Iraq. The Sumerians are the first civilizers because there is no other proof of civilization going back further than them. Or is there? By this point, most of us are familiar with Göbekli Tepe, the site with the multi-ton T-shaped pillars in Turkey. Now, anyone in their right mind would assume that these structures required advanced mathematical and astronomical knowledge, which cannot be achieved by a tribe of primitive people that's too busy hunting and gathering. However, the mainstream insists that this site was indeed built by nomadic hunter-gatherers. But how is this possible? It sounds unlikely, and if we look into what the archaeologists argue, we start seeing some plot holes. Yes, they say it was hunter-gatherers, but a special branch of them, so to speak. These tribes would stay in the vicinity of Göbekli Tepe for part of the year, so they were at least semi-nomadic, starting to become sedentary. Now, not only that, but they didn't just reside in caves or in the shade of trees, like primitive people would. They resided in villages. So already, they stop sounding like hunter-gatherers and start sounding more like civilized people, who, during a specific period of the year, would visit Göbekli Tepe and stay there in settlements for some time. These people's diets consisted of the basics of hunter-gatherers. For example, we know large-scale hunting of gazelle between midsummer and autumn took place, but we found a striking number of tools related to food processing, and it's been proven that these people also based their diets on early forms of domesticated cereal. In other words, they had agriculture, one of the main requirements for a culture to be called civilized. So far, the mainstream explanation makes it sound all the more improbable that the builders of Göbekli Tepe were mere hunter-gatherers. Now, if we look at this site per se, with its 10 to 20 feet tall T-shaped limestone pillars, weighing anywhere from a few tons to well over 10 tons, coupled with its astronomical alignments, we immediately realize this was no easy endeavor. If the average man weighs around 155 pounds and can lift, let's say, 1.5 times his body weight, 232.5 pounds, then it would take around 47 men to lift a pillar that weighs only 5 tons. Now, this number might be reduced when using clever solutions and angles, but my point is, in order to get this many people working on a project, one needs division of labor. So this would be different tasks assigned to different groups. Therefore, we would need one group of people to focus on the mathematical calculations and alignments, a second group to focus on the heavy lifting, and this one has to be well fed, so there has to be a third group to fetch water and food. And so many more groups emerge based on the necessities. The thing is, division of labor is precisely another one of the requirements to have a civilized society. In this specific argument, archaeologists propose the following.
The response to archaeologists was, well, I guess we were wrong about hunter-gatherers. Maybe they could do more stuff than we gave them credit for. So why is that not a reasonable hypothesis?
It is a reasonable hypothesis, but I see two issues with this. First of all, up until Göbekli Tepe, no one denied the fact that hunter-gatherers were primitive and incapable of building megalithic temples. It isn't until this discovery that archaeologists are forced to explore other ideas. The mainstream was too scared to give an unorthodox response to Göbekli Tepe. For example, a proposal like,
"Oh, well, this just means that civilization actually started way before the Sumerians. probably with Göbekli Tepe, certainly at least with it. After all, the people that lived in those days were anatomically modern humans just like us, with the same brain size and capability.
The problem with this type of proposals is that they force historians to completely rewrite history, back up and admit their mistakes, the ones they had been defending for years. It was just out of the question to give such a blasphemous explanation in archaeology terms. For the moment they admitted that civilization started with or before Göbekli Tepe, other alternative theories that were just around the corner would start to gain popularity, and soon the mainstream telling of human history would crumble in real time before their eyes, leaving behind a void that would take decades to fill. The second issue is we will never know for sure what hunter-gatherers did on a day-to-day basis, what they thought of, what their priorities were, unless we could somehow reach out to them in person and observe their way of life. But that's just impossible. The Ice Age ended thousands of years ago. Humans became civilized and hunting and gathering just stopped being the best option on the table. So we can never get to know them for good. Or can we? Many people seem to forget the fact that currently on planet Earth there are two ways of life. The one you and I have, the civilized society, and the way of the tribes. We are coexisting with hunter-gatherer tribes as of 2023 AD. The tribes of the Amazon, of Africa, they never stopped the tradition of their ancestors. To this day, they live like they did 10,000 years ago. And so, let's ask the question, do we see any tribe of the Amazon, of Africa, building megalithic temples with astronomical alignments? Or do we just see them live simple lives, hunting and gathering? Sites like Göbekli Tepe and the rest of the tepes of the area are proof that we are clearly missing an important part of human history. I personally think civilization started sometime during the last Ice Age, but when this period came to an end with an abrupt climate change, the civilization we have worked so hard to build also came to an end. Millions of lives were lost, coastal cities annihilated by the fury of nature, leaving behind but a trail of underwater debris and a trauma in the human mind that lived on for thousands of years. When the flood came, our civilization was destroyed and we were forced to start all over again. Hey there, thanks for watching part 1 of Reasons Why You Should Question History. Stay tuned for part 2 where I will explore 3 remaining reasons I wanted to discuss, and it will be the Great Pyramid of Giza, the lost cities of the Americas, and the Gosford Glyphs. So without further ado, thanks again for watching the video, I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one.